All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Introduction to Genealogy. Before we get started, we're going to go over a couple of housekeeping rules and Zoom etiquette. And once again, as a courtesy reminder, we are having a campaign right now of Be a Lifelong Learner and Bring a Lifelong Learner, which means that you can invite a friend to our OLLI free remote learning classes. If you know anyone that could benefit from our courses, please share the information to them or have them call our office and we can provide them the information. Just a couple of reminders before we get started. Please go ahead and mute your microphone. This is just to prevent the background noise from interrupting the meeting. Also, moving forward, our presenters would deeply appreciate if you could type in your questions into the chat room, and they will be addressed at the end of their presentations. Today is a very unique presentation because we do have two presenters. Also, this presentation will be recorded for university purposes. And once again, questions will be addressed towards the end. Also, we kindly ask for all of you to stay towards the end just because we would like to get your feedback. We kindly ask of you to please fill out a course evaluation. This is just for us to get your feedback regarding the course and our two presenters. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and take a quick look on everyone to make sure we are all on mute. Okay, we have one more person coming in from the waiting room. All right. All right, now we can get started. Introduction to Genealogy today. It is March 11. It is 1:05, I believe. And our two presenters today, we have Miss Ophelia Sanders and Miss Norma Bates. To start us off, Miss Ophelia Sanders has been an OLLI member since 2013. She is a lifetime member of the California African American Genealogical Society. There, she began teaching the introduction of genealogy, and she has been in many conferences of genealogy across the nation. In the late 1990s, she received her first computer and began researching her family's history. She typed in the word genealogy, and she has been a genealogy junkie since then. Our next presenter is Miss Norma Bates. She joined in OLLI in 2008, and she is also an OLLI ambassador. She became passionate about genealogy in 2008 after joining the California African American Genealogical Society in Los Angeles. To start us off, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Ophelia Sanders. Miss Ophelia, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Hema. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to see you here today. We have some new faces I haven't seen before, and we have some others that I've met over the past few years. But I'd just like to welcome you to our presentation. I'm gonna get ready to share my screen. Okay, this is Genealogy 101, Genealogy for Beginners. Now, this class is for those persons who want to know and know how to start their genealogy research. Now, if you have done your research before, this just may be a refresher course for you. Just to let you know that genealogy starts with everybody the same way. It starts with you. No matter what your background is, your culture, your ethnicity, it always starts with yourself. Begins with you. And when you start your genealogy, you start it from the known, which of course you know yourself, to the unknown. So you begin with yourself, your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and if you know your great-great-grandparents, you like to log them on your form, and I'll be showing you more about that later. That form is called a pedigree chart or an ancestral chart. It's going to help you keep track and keep a record. Okay, you want to talk. Oral history is a vital asset in your research. It helps you to pinpoint places, people, and the time periods in your ancestors' lives. So when you start talking, of course, you want to talk to the oldest member of your family. And sometimes, unfortunately, with us being the age that we are the oldest members. So you might want to talk to more cousins or other family members that you know of, brothers and sisters, to help you start your research. You want to talk to neighbors that may have lived in the neighborhood of your parents or grandparents, and if they're still alive or their children know about them, and of course, friends of families. And if you know the church that your family went to, you want to start a conversation with the church secretary or deacons or so forth that may still be a member of that church and know your family. Well, let me tell you, the computer is your friend. Like I told you that when I got my first computer and I was searching, doing my little surfing, and I typed in genealogy, and it just rows and rows and rows of things that I could get into about genealogy popped up, and that's what started me on my way. Now, I know a lot of the millennials, they do all their stuff on the phone today, and I say good for them. But when you start your research, you're going to need a large screen and to see the records that you'll find. And we're going to pull up some records later on, and that way I'll show you what they look like. Um, these are some of the websites that you may want to visit. There are many, many more. You find the one that you like that fits your likings of research and also fits your budget, because some of them do cost. Family research or family search is free. It's owned by the Mormon Church, Church of the Latter-day Saints. And when you sign up with them, you can also take classes from them. And of course, everything's on Zoom right now. And they have many, many subjects to choose from. Ancestry.com is the most popular paid subscription. That's the one that I subscribe to. Would you use Google? Of course, that's free. And there you'll be finding out different information about courthouses, cemeteries, archives, libraries that you may want to go to in your hometown. MyHeritage.com, of course, that's a paid subscription. Find My Past, that's a paid subscription. OneGreatFamily.com, that's a paid subscription. Anytime you go on a website and you see the term free for 7 days or free for 14 days, that means that you're going to have to pay for it after that. They're going to take your uh, credit card from the beginning. And within that 6th or 7th day, you better cancel if you don't want to subscribe to them. But like I said, this is just a drop in the bucket of the different websites that you can go to help you with your research. Okay, once you start collecting all those names, you may collect 1,800 names in your research. So what are you going to do with them? You want to bring these people to life. Do any of you watch the TV program Finding Your Roots or Who Do You Think You Are? I know I watched both of those. And when those people who are featured, when they find out who their relatives are, they're just amazed that to find out that they had ancestor that fought in a certain war or that started their own business. So you want to write about their lives. Family reunion booklet. Hopefully after the pandemic, you'll have a family reunion, and it'll be nice to tell the stories about the families, your family members that you've looked up and have located. Also, write your own obituary. So many times when family members transition, you can't remember what they did or when they did it. To keep your family from doing a guessing game when you pass on, I suggest that you do write your family or your own obituary. I have an outline that I got together when one of my sister-in-laws passed years ago, and I went to help my nieces write their mother's obituary. They couldn't tell me anything about her. They were just so upset that their mother had passed and they couldn't say anything. I said, well, your mother did more than just was born, got married, had 7 kids and died. So to keep your family from going through that, please write your own obituary. And it's just a summary of your life. Okay, you want to visit the hometown of your family, whether you're doing your mother's side or your father's side. Um, there's so much information there that you can find. They have libraries in your family's hometown, city directories. You have courthouse for the records, and the records that you'll find would be your birth, death, marriage, divorces, wills, probate, land records, and probably more. The archives would be like a state or county archives that you will probably be visiting, newspaper archives. And of course, you got to visit the cemeteries and the surrounding counties. Your family may have been in one particular county, but sometimes people are buried in different counties. Okay, in the libraries, you'll find books that you didn't even know existed. One year when I was visiting on my mother's side, I found a book with death records. And this is from the Arkansas. My mother's from Arkansas. And it had the names and the date of death of my ancestors that have passed on. And you'll need the date of death if you want to find their death certificate. In finding the death certificate, you'll find out a lot of information. You'll find out who was the informant that told about this person. And it also will tell you about where the person was buried or if they were cremated. It also tell you where they last lived. And this informant might be someone that you never knew about because it'll say who's the informant and they say, John Brown. Well, who was he to this person? It was his son. It was his uncle. It was whatever the relationship was to the person. Okay, also you may find a family booklet. I've mentioned before when you write, you want to start writing about your family and make a booklet out so you can pass it out to at your next family reunion. Well, you write this booklet, and then, of course, when you have your family reunion, you want to present it to your family, but you also want to put it in a library in your family's hometown or in the surrounding cities. That way, when someone else goes to do research, they'll find out information about your family. The courthouse or the vital record department, of course, you'll find, like I say, the birth certificate, death certificates, marriages, wills, and probates. And the archives facilities for the states and the counties. When you look up your newspaper archives, you're looking for obituaries, finding out family members that have passed on. You may have not, you're looking for surnames, and you may find family members you never knew about. You find out what they did for a living, how they died. You find all kind of information when looking up obituaries in the archives. And of course, cemeteries. When you go to the cemeteries, you want to walk the cemeteries and look at the headstones. When you're looking at the headstones, you're finding your surnames. Take a picture of the headstone. It may not be someone that you know, but later on in your research, that name just may pop up. If it's a very large cemetery, then you might want to check with the office for their records and see what names they have on file of your family's surname. Okay, the next slide. DNA. Now, I'm not an expert on DNA, but I do enjoy it. I am a member of all 3 of these DNA companies Ancestry DNA, 23andme.com, familytreedna.com. The reason that I took all three of them was to have an option, because some people may just take Ancestry. Some people may just take the test in 23andMe. Some people may just take the test in Family Tree DNA. Well, that way I have a range of different companies that I can look for family members. And you will find people will email you uh, asking more about your family, and you ask them about their family. I have found another branch out of 23andMe on my mother's side. I knew about them, but of course I didn't know what happened to them after, um, like it was my mother's cousins or aunties. So I'm reaching their families now through 23andMe. So you might want to make sure you take have a male in your family to take the DNA test. That way you'll get that Y chromosome to be recorded. And like I said, I'm not an expert on DNA, but when I've gone to my conferences, they've always told us, make sure you get a male to take his DNA so you can have that Y chromosome. And I'll give you an example. Doing the research on my mom's side, I have a brother, but I don't want his DNA because even though he's my mother's son, he still don't have the Y chromosome on her side, the Conway side of the family. So I had to go to one of my uncles who was deceased, but one of his sons, Curtis, and I had him to do his DNA. That way that Y chromosome from the Conway family would be in the database. So like I said, there's just a brief information about DNA. I don't know all about it, but once you start getting more into it, you'll learn more about getting that Y chromosome uh, into your database with a male from your side of the family. Okay, at some point, we'd like you to join a genealogical society. Here are some of the popular ones that I know of. The California African American Genealogical Society, which I and Norma are members of. Their membership is $30 a year. California Genealogical Society, their membership is $40 a year. They're located in Burbank, but right now all of these societies are on Zoom. Uh, Afro-American Historical Genealogical Society, better known as OGS. It has several chapters depending on where you live. And most of it's in the South or in the East Coast. Their subscription is $35 a year. National Genealogical Society, NGS, they have merged with the Federation of Genealogical Societies, and their membership is $70 a year. You might want to join a genealogical society in the area that your family's from. For example, my family's from Arkansas and Mississippi. So you'll look online and you'll find a, a society that you would feel comfortable joining and become a member there, because that way they'll help you uh, in that area. They could tell you more about the archives there or the libraries there or the cemeteries there. And also, you might want to join a local genealogical society in your area. Like I said, most of these are now on Zoom, but they have other societies in Torrance, in the inland cities. So just check Google and find out what societies are close by for you. Okay, and to tell you the advantage of joining a society, said you just might meet a cousin there. I'll tell you the story. Like I told you, I teach genealogy, the beginning classes at CAGS. And I was teaching the class one day and I was telling them that my mother's from Arkansas. And this one lady said, "Oh, my family's from Arkansas too." I says, "Okay, good." And continued to talk. And I said, "She's from this little town called McCamey." Arkansas in the Lafayette County. She says, my family's from that town too. And says, okay. And the surnames are Conway and Haygood. She says, well, my family's Haygoods. So in my society, I met a cousin. I knew of her mother. I knew of her grandmother. And I was able to meet a cousin through the society. So you might just meet a cousin there. Also, the meetings have different topics that will help you along your research. This is just an overview of how to get started, of where you can go and so forth. But when you join a society, they tell you more about detail about finding birth certificates, finding adoption papers, those that were adopted, finding wills and probates. So they have different classes from time to time on different subjects that you will benefit from. And of course, they always teach a beginnings class because everyone coming in, you know, like you are, you need to know more about how to get started. And then they have conferences. I really miss the conferences. Norma and several other ladies, we traveled several years going to different conferences. We've gone to DC. I think that was our last conference before the pandemic hit. We've gone to Arizona. We've gone to Fort Wayne, Indiana. We've gone, of course, to Utah, Salt Lake City. We've gone to Texas several times. So we got to travel and we got to not only go to the conferences, but to see different states and different towns. So that'll be nice if you like to travel, if we ever get out of this pandemic and they start having the actual physical conferences again, that you'll be able to go to and visit other towns and states. Okay. Okay, this is just a couple of websites that will really help you in the future. The first one is the Los Angeles Family History, Los Angeles Family Search Library. Don't look right, but I guess it is right. Anyway, the Mormon Church on West Los Angeles on Santa Monica Boulevard, it has a family history library. Once the pandemic is over with again, you're welcome to go there and do your research. But in the meantime, they have a staff that if you go to this website and you click on check now, that they will, or search now, I'm sorry, they will be able to help you. They have people standing by Monday through Friday to help anyone with their research. Also, familytreemagazine.com. That's one, I'm going to show it to you later, that you can log on to that and it'll help you in getting started with your research. Okay, if you have more information, you can reach Norma Bates at cagsnorma2008@gmail.com, or you can reach me, Ophelia Sanders, at Will Search for Family @yahoo.com. And we'll help you out if you need to find out more about different societies or just whatever general information you may want to know about genealogy will help you out. At this time, Norma's going to come with some more information.
Hello. Okay, I have the easy part of the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. As Ophelia stated, if you want to have a family reunion, you need to have a family reunion booklet. Create a booklet to commemorate your next family reunion. Print it out and give it to family members at the reunion. Or save the document file on a CD or a flash drive for family members to print themselves. You may want to send it to them in a PDF file. This booklet has 4 parts. introduction, personal family information, address book, and a family tree. It can also include photographs. You can go online and Google family reunion booklet, and it will give you many ideas on how to create a booklet. There's many different styles. There is no one set way to do it. Here's one that I created for my family for our 2008 family reunion that we held in Texas. And our theme was remembering our roots, dedicated to our first generation, my grandparents, Charlie and Daisy Stewart. There was another booklet for our 2006 family reunion that we held in Atlanta, Georgia. Our theme, our roots are in Arkansas, our branches spread far and wide. And this one is very close to my heart because this is the year that my mother died. So that's why family reunion booklets are very important also, because it holds a lot of information. And in the booklet, you may want to acknowledge achievements in the family, graduations. This is my granddaughter. She graduated from high school that year. So you want to do that, all achievements, whether they're births, things like that, graduations, promotions on jobs. Also, you want to include information about past family members. See, this is an obituary. This is my son that passed away, but don't make the mistake this person made and put him in here twice. He only needed to be in here one time. And last of all, Ophelia said, do not forget to write your own obituary. As you can see, I have written mine. Let me go back. I have written mine. As you can see, I plan to live at least 100 years. So maybe I'll make it longer than that, I don't know. But I'm planning to stay here at least 100 years. And nobody can tell my story better than I can. So again, please write your own family reunion. I'm sorry, your own obituary. So I'm going to turn this back over to Ophelia.
Thank you, Norma. Okay, I want to share with you this time, make sure I click on the right one. No, this is the one I want to share. Okay. Remember I told you about familytreemagazine.com. You can go here, you can spend hours looking on this website. If you look at the headers on the column, it tells you more about how to get started, what I just kind of explained to you. It said start to build your family tree and get started with genealogy. Another topic is explore the topics. Here it tells you how to look up the census, church records, courthouse, immigration, land records, magazine, maps, military. It has all the topics you want to look up when you start your genealogy. Explore your places to go to. You have United States, Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, and then you have your European countries. Remember I told you about websites? Here they have the 101 best genealogical websites to go to. So you can just go through them and see which one that fits you the best and your pocketbook, because I say it will get expensive. Here's the DNA information, and it tells you more about DNA and the different companies that you can go to. This is projects. Family history crafts, your family reunions, getting organized, and that's a great one to start with first, because when I first started my research, I was just out there collecting papers and papers here, papers there, and they were all over the place. And I kind of got them in some type of order, but you want to look at this one first to keep things in some type of order. If you have kids, grandkids, nieces, great nieces and nephew, they have information about that. This here is what I want to get into, free resources. And the caption is essential genealogy forms. Come on up. Okay, here you have your free forms. When Norma and I have done this presentation before in person, we had copied the forms for you, but since we're all virtual now, you're going to have to go on and get your own forms. So you want to click on here and it'll tell you how to pull them up and print them out. The first one, it shows 5-generation ancestral chart. Ancestral chart, pedigree chart, it's all the same. But you want to click on this, print it out, and that way you'll have the start where you start with yourself, put your parents in, your grandparents in, as much as you know. This is the main form that you want to start with. And print it out several times because you may want to give it to a cousin or someone to help get them started. Family group sheets, after you get the information down as far as I can't make this any bigger to see, but you want to start a family group sheet, start with your family, your parents, and write down all the information that you know about your mother, father, all your siblings. And then you take another family group sheet and you do the same for your grandparents. That way you have some type of records. So this is one of the main tabs you want to check on is the free resources to get your forms. Okay, I want to stop this one. And I told you that I would want to show you what a census record looks like. Oh, wrong one. Okay, I'm a member of Ancestry.com. Can you guys see this? No?
No,
Yes?
no,
No.
Ophelia.
Okay, let me do it this way. Okay, I have to stop share. Okay, now go back to share again. Okay, got it that time. Okay, this is Ancestry.com is what I'm a member of. And if you decide to go with Ancestry.com, I want to show you how to basically start your research. You would go to the search here at the top, click on it, and you want to start with the census. The census was the first census was taken in the United States in 1790. And right now, the only census from 1790, excuse me, every 10 years, the census is taken. So from 1790 up until 1940, you will find census records, except the 1890 census, which was burnt. It was destroyed by fire. So you won't find anything under the 1890 census. So what you would want to do, you would start with, I wish I could start with my mom, but I couldn't find her on the 1940 census. So I'll just take you back and just show you what a census looked like. I'll start with my grandfather on my mom's side, Wilson Conway. He had 2 last names. Okay, and I know he was born in 1875. And I know he was born in Lafayette County, Arkansas. Okay, and here he pops up in the 1900 census. Wilson Conway, birth February 1875 in Arkansas, and his residence in 1900 was, I don't know the little town, Rowan, Lafayette County, Arkansas. And once you click on that information, you have a printout that's been printed out for you, but I'm going to take you to the actual census. Sometimes the actual census is kind of hard to read, but at least this you can read it without trying to guess, is this a E or A or I or whatever. But it gives you the name of the person that you just clicked on, Wilson Conway, his age, his date of birth. And in your research, you're going to find that a lot of times, especially if you're going back in the 1800s or early 1900s, some of the people didn't know when they were born or actually the actual year. So you take 3 to 5 years either way, before what year they said they were born or after. For an example, my dad always said that he was born in 1911, but when he actually had to get his birth certificate, and they actually did uh, information on the census, he was actually born in 1907. So you always give a few years, either 5 years before or 5 years after the person said they were born, if you can't find them in the actual year. Okay, here it shows the uh, house that he lived in, or the area that he lived in. Actually, it wasn't the house in 1900. And the house number, I guess it was the first house that the census taker went to, was house number 1. The sheet number is number 5, and we'll show that when I show you the actual census work. Um, Number of dwellings in order of visitation. This has to do with the census taker and what I guess he was being paid for, so what he had to put down. Okay, it gives you the race. He was Black. His gender, he was male. Um, Relationship to head of household, it says son. So this is, he was still living with his parents at the time. My great grandfather name was Henry Conway, and it shows his birthplace was Mississippi. And when they said father's birthplace, they're talking about Henry's birthplace. And his mother name was, they have Jane Conway, but actually her name was Cheney. And I'll get more into that later. And her birthplace was Georgia. And occupation, it says mill hand. They did a lot of lumber back in those days. Could my grandfather read? It says yes. Could he write? It says yes. Could he speak English? It says yes. And then it tells you about who lived in the household. Well, whoever the head of the household was, which was my great grandfather, Henry Conway, he was the head of household. Now, every person up under him, they're going to say what the relationship they were to the head of household. If they were a cousin or if they were just a boarder there, they would have boarder there or lodger or cousin or whatever, but it's not to these people here, it's to the head of household, it's the relationship. And so at this point, you show the ages. It shows my great grandfather was 60 years old at that time. My great grandmother was 58. And then it starts showing the children. This is my great aunt. She was married at the time, and this is just whoever gave the census taker this information. Her actual name was Luella, but they just put down Green Conway. John Conway, Cecilia Conway, Archie Conway, Carrie, Jacob, Sylvester, and Wilson. Now let me show you what the census actual looks like. That's why I was saying, don't do this on your phone because it would be so small, you can't see it. Even now, I'm going to enlarge it some so you can see it. Okay, let's start at the top so you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at. At the very top, it gives you the state, Arkansas, the county, Lafayette, and the township or other divisions. Now you're going to find in different little rural towns, this is called Rowan, and I never have found out why it was called that. But in doing my research with my mom's side of the family, I found Walnut Creek, I found Marsh Hills, and these were just little communities within this little town. Her actual town was called McCamey. And all these little towns are townships pop up. So this is the township that they were living in at the time. Okay, it's going to show you the enumerated date, enumerated by me on the 6th day of June in 1900. And this is the person that did the enumeration. John W. Baker was his name. He did this. He was a census taker for this particular group of people. And I won't get into all of this, but once you get more into doing your genealogy, the district and the enumerated district and the sheet number makes a difference when you're doing your research. Okay, come back over this way, and I want to find my grandfather. Now, if you can see that, that does not look like Conway. That looks like Canway. But what happens when you get these census records and we start to index them, you're going to have two people that will index them. One will put CAN, another put CON, and then you have an arbitrator to come in and say, okay, this is Conway because this other name don't make sense. So you're going to find that spelling, the census takers, they weren't educated. A lot of the people weren't educated. They didn't know how to spell their names. So you're going to find spelling of the name is going to be different than what you're used to, spelling the name of your family history or your surname of your family. So once again, it shows Henry Conway, he's the head, shows that he's Black. He was married up at the very top. Oh, I didn't show you that part. Let me go back. Okay, you have headers up here that's going to show you the person's name, the relationship, color or race, their sex, month, and the year that they were born. The age of their last birthday. And some of this I'll have to make it bigger to see. Okay. Oh, single or married or divorced. Number of years married. The mother of how many children. So at this point, even if the lady have had a miscarriage or maybe a child had died, they would still put down, you may see 5 children there, and that's on the actual census. But then when you look over here, you see she shows 8. So these kids may have died in the meantime. Also, each census, you're going to find different information. All censuses don't ask for the same information. So every census from 1790 to 1940, the information that they ask is going to be different. And once again, they shows the place of this person's birth, the place of their father's birth, the place of their mother's birth. Let's see, what is this? Okay, year of immigration to United States if they came from another country. A number of years in the United States if they came from another country. And I never can pronounce this, but naturalization, if they became from another country and became naturalized, then they would have the date here. And of course, the occupation. What else is here? Or if they attended school, can they read? Can they write? Can they speak English? If they rent or own their property. And what is this? If they own their property, if they're free, if the mortgage is free, and if it's a farm or a house. So like I said, each census is going to be different. They don't ask that in every census. Okay, but I want to come back and show you that my grandfather was still living with his parents in 1900. He hadn't met my grandmother yet. But here he is, he's 25 years old. And he's still living with his parents. Also, you hear people say, walk the neighborhood. You want to start looking at the people above where your ancestors are or your family members are. And you might see other surnames that you have heard of. So you want to walk the neighborhood and see if you see any other family members that you know of. Okay, this was the 1900 census. I'll take you to the very next one. Hima, do we have more time? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, that was the 1900 census. Next, I want to take you to the 1910 census. Just follow my grandfather. And you have to scroll down till I see 1910. And this is Wilson Conway. And see how they spelled the name again, Caway. So I want to click on that. Okay, so here is Wilson, and they got Caway, but someone went in and corrected it and said this is Conway, Conway. Now, I told you the census takers, they take it every 10 years. That was 1900. He was 25. Here we are, 1910, and they say he's 37. Well, like I said, they said my grandfather was born around 1875, but I guess he wasn't quite sure. Here they say about 1873. So you're going to find a discrepancy, as you may say, every time you go in to look at, not every time, but sometimes you go in and look and you're going to see an age difference. So here he's 37. Of course, again, Arkansas. Remember when I told you he was living in that Roana township? Now he's in Marsh Hills Township. Okay, McCamey Road, that's the name of the town. And they named the street after the name of the town. His race, again, Black, gender, male. He's the head of his household this time. His status, he's married, and he's married to Ophelia Conway. Well, you know, I've named after my grandmother. Okay, and his father's birthplace. Well, remember back in the other census in 1900, it shows my great-grandfather was born in Mississippi. Now they show my great-grandfather was born in Georgia. So you're going to find some discrepancies along the way. Okay, mother's birthplace, they just say United States. They don't say where my great-grandmother Cheney was born. Native tongue, English. Occupation, farmer. Industry, home, farm. He's the employer. He had his own little place. He owned his property. That was good to know. And of course, it was in mortgage. He was still paying on it. Now let's see how many children he had at that time. Oh, this is bad. You're going to run into this where you can't read nothing. I'll break it a little bigger for you. As you can see, I guess that's why they spelt his name so badly, Caway. I'm not going to even attempt to let you guys see this, but you'll run into this from time to time. Either the census taker had a bad pencil or somewhere down the line, it just got corroded. But this is what you're going to run into at times. So I'll just go back to the other page so we can read it a little clearer. Okay. At that time, my grandparents had, they actually only had 3 children. Their oldest son, and they got his name down as James. That's not my uncle's name. My uncle's name was Julius Conway. This person by the name of Gessie Conway was not their daughter. It was my grandmother's niece that she was keeping. This is my Aunt Bertha and my Aunt Alma. That's why oral history is so important. My Aunt Bertha told us about her cousin, Gessie, that lived with them. For whatever reason, my grandmother started raising her niece. I don't know what happened to her sister, but she started raising her niece. But they didn't put her down as a niece. Of course, they put her down as a daughter. And my Aunt Alma, she was just born in 19, I think, I believe record show she was actually born in 1909, but they got her down as 0. So she wasn't really 1 yet. Okay, let me go back and show you the next census, 1920. Hopefully that'll look better. Okay, here we are again. Now you see he went from Wilson Conway to Wilson Conway again, or Canway, Caway. Now he's W.C. Conway. Where they got that from, I don't know. But now the age is about the same. He was 25 in 1900. He was 37 in 1910. Now in 1920, he's 47. So they're keeping him at 1873. Once again, hometown is in the Marsh Hill area. He's a farmer, residence. With lights in my eyes. 1920, race is black, male. He's gendered black. He's a male. He's the head of the household. He's still married. My grandmother, Ophelia Conway, able to speak English, farmer, employment field, own account. Okay, now it shows he's renting. So I don't know what happened back then. I'd have to go back and do some research on that. And now here's all the children that's in his household. Okay, here's my uncle. And this time they spelled his name Junus, which is close to his real name. He's 15. And my grandmother's niece is still living with them. They called her Gessie before. Now she's Jessie. There's my Aunt Bertha, my Aunt Alma. They've had several more children. Cicero Conway, Wilson W. Conway. This is actually my Uncle Woodrow. His name is not Wilson, was not Wilson, so I don't know where they got that from. And my aunt, her name was Ella, but they called her Christine here on the paper. And here's my mom. My mom's name was spelled Theado, but as you can see on here, they have it Thea, it looks like Ron, Conway, and they have her as a son. She was just a baby in 1920. They asked the census takers who lives here, whoever gave them the information, gave this information, said Eunice, said Jesse, and right now I don't remember what her real name was. I think her real name was Gussie. I'm not sure, but as you can see, they've got different spellings each time, and they called off all the different family members: Bertha, Alma, Cicero, Woodrow, my Aunt Ella, and my mom. And this is all the information that they gave. And let's see if this census record looks any better than the other one. It looks a little bit better. I'll show you once again at the top. You have Arkansas, the state, the county Lafayette, the township was Marsh Hills. And this was enumerated by me on the 5th day, February 1920, by Leonard, that looks like Smith. And you want to look at the top of this because you may be looking for a family member, say that was born in 1920, but they weren't born until June. They would not have appeared on this census record because he enumerated it in February. You'll say, well, I know Uncle so-and-so was born that time, but look at the enumeration date to make sure that the person would have been born during that time. And once again, it shows the head of household and the relationship of all the persons that live with them. So at this time, I'm going to stop the sharing and let you ask some questions.
All right, Ms. Ophelia, we do have 3 questions in the chat. Kind
Okay.
of want to address those first because those were the first ones. Coming from Ms. Gwendolyn Hills. Her question is, can you get information from the city or county online about relatives?
What kind of information are you trying to get, Gwen?
Like, I was actually trying to find out who my grandfather's father is. Nobody knows that. So I was thinking like a death certificate or a birth certificate if he would have had one.
Okay. Birth certificates and death certificates were mandated in different states at different times. For example, I believe Arkansas was like 1912 and 1915 or something like that. But at any rate, you'd have to look online to see when this state mandated birth certificates and death certificates. Because some people, if they were born before 1900, they may not have a birth certificate because it wasn't mandated for the state to make a birth certificate. So you're talking about your grandfather, your great grandfather?
My grandfather, I know he passed away probably in the mid 70s. So I'm sure there's a death certificate someplace.
Okay, yeah. Okay, what state was he in?
Mississippi.
Ooh. Okay.
And I don't know where he was born and we're trying to find out who his father was and stuff.
Okay.
And of course, we're the old folks now, so.
Right. Okay, what basically you have to, when you start doing your research, you can't just start from great grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start from yourself and go back a generation at a time. That way you don't miss nobody and you don't get confused, basically. So have you done any research at all? You just want to
Yes,
find
I
them,
even
right?
found out his gravesite because the gravesites were pretty much at churches. So he was buried at the Methodist church,
Mhm.
but I can't get a picture of the headstone or anything.
Okay. So you don't know what year he died.
I can find that. I've seen that.
Okay. So what you're going to need, you're going to have to know the date. Like I told you, when I found this booklet in Arkansas for the state of Arkansas, I forgot what years it was, but it had a whole bunch of death records in there. And I was able to look up family members that I knew died in Arkansas, and it had their names, of course, and the dates. You're going to have an exact date, basically.
Right, I
If
can
you have
get
the
that.
exact date, then you can write to the state of Mississippi, the capital, Jackson. That's part of the archives, and call them and get the information, or go on the website, and it maybe costs you $10, $12 to get his death certificate, if you know the
Okay.
exact date.
I think it's that it's in Brandon, and I think she said the Chancery office or something, but I can't find anything online, so I had to write to them.
You have to write to them.
Okay.
And now I've done that before, because I told you my dad was from Mississippi. So I've done that before, trying to find my grandmother's information. And at the time, this has been several years ago, they would have students from Mississippi State to go into the archives and do research. They charge you like $5 for an hour or whatever the thing was at the time. And they would look for the index for this person. And then what they'll do, they'll send it back to you. Okay, I found this person. She died on this date, died here in whatever state city it was in. And then you have to send it back again to them, to the actual vital records department. And whatever the price is, they have different prices for death certificates. This is my check for $12, $15. I'm looking for this person that died on this date in this city, and this is the information. And then they'll send you the death certificate. And that way, if hopefully whoever the informant was, gave them the right information. Because you remember I told you on the death certificate, there's an informant.
Right.
So the informant, hopefully it was, another child, and maybe they, your grandfather talked about his father, to know who his father was. Okay.
Nobody knows.
Okay. If not, I'll talk to you more about it and get you more involved in it.
Okay.
But it's gonna be
Norma, you
like
have your
a
hand up?
6 weeks the turnaround to get the information.
Okay.
I hope that was helpful.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Who else? Hema?
Norma has her hand up. Go ahead, Norma.
Yes,
Okay,
I want to address this to Gwen. If you go on Find a Grave, you can register there, and you can ask someone there to go to the cemetery to take a picture of that headstone for you.
Okay.
Have you been on there? Have you done that?
I did, and that's where I found out he was buried at the Methodist church. But they didn't have any pictures or anything like that.
But you can ask someone to go and look.
Okay.
On that site.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We have 2 more questions and 1 comment. I don't want to be mindful of everyone's time. It is 2:10, but the question's coming from Susan. Is there a cost related to the DNA sites?
Yes, the DNA, just go online. Sometimes they have sales, especially around, Mother's Day, Father's Day, holidays. They have sales for like $69, $59. And you also will pay the postage on that. So if it's $69, you may pay, $71, $72 for the postage. But normally they may run 100, a little over 100, but they have sales on. So I would say, wait for the sales unless you're in a hurry.
Right now,
go ahead,
Ancestry.com has a sale on $59 until March 17th.
Okay.
Okay, Ancestry has a sale on right now. And usually when one does a sale, all of them does a sale. Did that
Oh,
help you,
th-
Susan?
she said yes. Thumbs up.
Okay, good.
We have one more question coming from Pearlie. Question is, which of the DNA companies is/are reported to be most reliable?
That's up to the individual. Like I said, I took all three. I've gotten information off of all three. They're all the same as far as my makeup. It shows that I'm like 80 something percent sub-Saharan African in Ancestry. In 23andMe, I may be 82%, you know, and then Family Tree DNA, I still may be 83.5%. So they're all looking up your makeup, your actual DNA makeup are pretty accurate. As far as, you know, it's just up to you which one you want to go to. But I think they're all pretty accurate as far as your DNA makeup. Does that answer your question, or you have something?
Yeah, well, it does. I was thinking in terms of, I think somebody told me, I don't know where, well, one of our we had gone on a trip and we were just talking about it, and they had gotten completely different from two different companies. Their results were completely different, you know, where they weren't close in enough to think that, hey, they are getting the same information. How could that?
Really?
That's what yeah, I'm not going to tell you who told me, but
Oh, that's okay. No, it doesn't matter. But I mean, I don't know what
yeah,
happened. Maybe the sample was corrupt. I don't know.
I
But
see.
like I said,
Okay.
I've taken all three of them, and mine are within, you know,
I
just a
see.
point off or whatever.
I see.
And
Okay.
then a lot of times you have to remember too, when you're taking these different tests, and that's why I suggest take a company that has been around a while. If
Mhm.
whoever decides to start a DNA company, they're only going to have like a few thousand people compared to the millions that uh, these other three have. And so the database is going to be smaller.
Okay.
Norma, you want to add something to that?
Yes, I want to say, if you're thinking about doing the DNA, please do it now. Do not put it off. I sent a DNA kit to my father, and his came back, it said it was corrupted. He was a smoker. So when he took his, he might have smoked that morning or the afternoon, whatever, and it came back corrupted. So they will send you a brand new kit. You don't have to pay for a new kit. They'll send you another one. And so I got the new kit, sent it to my father, and before he could do it, he passed away. So that's what I want to tell you. If you're thinking about it, do it now before it's too late.
Thank you.
Like I said, the kid could have been corrupted some kind of way. The reason it was off so much. So maybe they need to do it again. I don't know. Or maybe they need to take a third one and see which one matches up the closest. And when I say a third one, a third company, like I did. They catch them when they're on sale, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank
More
you. I
questions?
see that. Yes, I see Denise has her hand up.
Yes, can you just have a name to look for somebody, or you have to have like a birth date and what state they were born in?
Okay, what do you mean?
Like say if I was looking for my uncle and I can't find my mom's brother and I just have his name, and I don't know if he was born in North Carolina or if he was born in New York. So would I do both, or can I find
Well,
out information like that?
you have his full name though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, basically, the person have to be born before 1940.
Oh, it
So
had to be
that's
born before 1940?
before 1940. That's the latest census that is out. The census are released every 72 years for privacy matters. So the next census for the 1950 will be out in next year. in 2022, because it'll be 72 years since the 1950 census was taken. So if he was born before 1940, was he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm almost sure. Yes.
Okay, you think he was born in New York?
Either New York or North Carolina.
Okay,
He was the baby of the family, so they might have came to New York by that time.
okay, what year was he born?
I don't know. I just
You
know he
don't
was
know.
born February 29th, but the
Okay,
year I don't know.
okay, so what you would do, you would go to like Ancestry, like what I have, put his name in, put the year that he was born, and put New York in first, if you think that's where he was born, and then do a search and see if he comes up, or put your grandmother's name in and see, hopefully he was living with them at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so put your grandmother's name in, your grandfather's name, and then hopefully he'll show up as one of the children.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Norma has something to
Go
add to
ahead,
that.
Norma.
Yes. I wanted to add what I have done in the past also, I have used Google. You can put the Google in, put that name in, plus your mother or grandmother, whoever they're related to. You know, the wild cards, you can put in George plus whatever your mother's name or the grandparent, the first and the last name, you know, plus New York. You may get something.
Okay.
I found by doing that, I found my great grandfather marriage information and that he had been married twice and that his first wife had died. Just by doing going on Google to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you. And we have time for one more question from Angela Renchi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I am on and I went to find a grave when I'm looking for some siblings of my father. And so I found pictures of their grave sites, and some of them have been like cleaned up, like some of the grass and things around the grave sites, or there will be flowers placed on them. And then on Find a Grave, it says who the person is that did it. But I don't know who those people are or how to find those people, because I don't know whether or not they would be a relative or who they would be. Do you have any idea about what I might be able to do to find who they are? Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Norma. You have.
Yes, I've seen that because that's how I found the picture of a grave of my great grandmother, and it had a lot of information that I didn't know about her because she died maybe 1900 or 1901, something like that.
Yeah.
And there are people who just work there. This is their job. They just go to the cemeteries to do things like that. Anybody can put flowers on there. Anybody can do that. Some people are just looking, and all of a sudden they just say, I put a flower on there. Now, as far as a relative, you can leave a message on Find a Grave. You can ask that question, and they may respond back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they died many years before I was born, so I don't have any idea who the people might be. Maybe they're their grandchild or, something. I don't know. But I didn't know I could leave a message on Find a Grave. So I'll try that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I know the graveyard in Arkansas that a lot of my family members are buried in. I have a distant cousin. He goes out there at least once a year and hires some people. I think it may be, the graveyard may be an acre of land, maybe acre and a half of land, or whatever it is. But anyway, he hires some people to go out to clean it off. So you never know who's doing it.
Who's
people
doing it? Yeah.
people do hire people to go clean off graves and Then you have some genealogical societies that go out and they do grave searches and will go and clean off graves and take pictures of headstones too. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would like to, if it's some kind of relative, then that would be good for me to find them. So thanks,
What
ladies.
city and state are you talking about?
Texas, Bryant County, I think is it. I
Okay.
never lived there or it was years before I was born. But yeah, I think it's Bryant County, Texas.
Right,
Mhm.
because well, not just back in the South, but they have a lot of small cemeteries, especially in the South or other parts of the United States. Not like Inglewood and Forest Lawn and
Yeah,
places we have here. So they
yeah,
have a lot of small cemeteries that people do go and take care of. Family
yeah.
members and just the community will go out there and take care of the graves
Take
to
care of them.
keep it up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Angela. This pretty much concludes our session, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, I do see the comments coming from everyone that are here. Cortelia Bryant says, Ophelia Norma made an excellent presentation. Yes. Also, so this information is so interesting. I've enjoyed this. For the Stovall, this was a great presentation. Thank you. Great info. Thank you. Pearly. Dorothy said, thanks. This was very informative. Gwendolyn Clark stated, awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Norma and Ophelia, for this wonderful, informative presentation. I believe you mentioned to me earlier that you will share the websites and we will send it out as a group email so that they could begin the research.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah?
everyone
Okay.
for coming.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you
for
all for coming.
You have our email address. You see us on Zoom, just say, hey, I got a question for you, and hopefully we can give you an answer or set you on the right path. But happy researching.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And
Thank
for those
you.
of you who, thank you all, and please go ahead and fill out the evaluation that is in the chat. There is a link there for you to fill out. It's just for us to get your feedback, please, and thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Emma.
Ophelia, and thank you, Norma. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Mhm.
If you need help filling out the evaluation, please let me know and I can assist you. And once you complete the evaluation, you go ahead and click on the blue button. I believe it should say submit, and then that's it. That ends our meeting. Thank you. Okay, Ophelia, I got the information. It's will search for family@yahoo.com and the two websites. Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Norma.
Okay. Take care.
You too, Ophelia. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Gwendolyn. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.